Right, cops hunting right now a suspect in New England as it appears the MIT and Brown University killings potentially were carried out by the same man. Let's check it out. And welcome to Rob Schmitt Tonight. We've got breaking news right off the top of the show here. It took 5 days, but a suspect has been identified after Saturday's Brown University mass shooting, which took the lives of 2 students, including a prominent, beautiful young conservative voice on the campus, Ella Cook there on the left. That shooting also injured 9 others. We know tonight that there is a suspect and he is being hunted right now. A Providence police news conference. We've been watching these all week. They have not been good. This one was scheduled for 4 o'clock this afternoon. It's still empty. 3 hours later, it has been severely delayed as police hunt for the killer in that crime, who it appears may be the same man who murdered a prominent MIT professor maybe an hour or 2 up the road, just a couple days later. Newsmax sources close to the investigation say a warrant has been issued for a Portuguese national in the Brown University mass shooting. That's interesting because recall that the MIT victim, Nuno Loureiro, right here, the professor and director of MIT's Plasma Science and Fusion Center, was also Portuguese. Sources indicated today the same vehicle is being sought for both of these crimes, and an abandoned vehicle matching that description has apparently been located in the state of New Hampshire. So the hunt is in New England tonight. Jonathan Gilliam is a former FBI agent. Ren McEachern is a former FBI supervisory agent. Both join us now to talk about what we have here. John, I want to start with you, and I guess it shouldn't be too surprising that they're connected, that these crimes are connected, but I don't think a lot of people thought that's what this was going to be. What do you think?
Well, I think that this is where I do think it's what I thought it was going to be. As an investigator looking at the totality of the circumstances that we have, we saw that an individual picked a very specific location at a very specific time and targeted a very specific room. We don't know exactly who in that room was targeted. And then within an hour's drive, another very specific person was targeted in a very specific location. So these weren't soft targets hit. It wasn't a food court. It wasn't special events. These were special places where certain people were at a specific time. And I think when you look at that, it starts to give you an idea that potentially somebody has a vendetta or is out for a reason. And now that this vehicle is connected in these 2 locations, I think it's actually showing us that somebody does, and the fact that these are 2 education systems, that something is there. What is bothering me, though, is that why aren't they releasing this individual's name to the public? Right. Maybe they have a reason, but I can't trust that because of what we've seen so far in this investigation.
Yeah, that's puzzling too. There's obviously they've had more information that they've let on this whole time, and then today they obviously got a pretty hard lead here. I know that they spoke, Ren, to that other person that was identified in the camera video that had interacted with the killer right after the crime, we believe, and maybe that led them somewhere. But I guess, Ren, my question is the idea that you have a mass shooting on a Saturday during the day at Brown, and then more than 2 days later, only an hour up the road, as Jonathan just said, but it took more than 2 days later before you have this MIT professor shot and killed inside the condo building that he lived in an hour up the road. That's a long time to wait for your second crime when you're being hunted, isn't it?
Yeah, it would be extraordinary that was part of the plan to wait 2 days. But then again, he may have been delayed if he actually had a plan to go after the professor as well. And so most plans don't go as they hope. And so just because there's a delay doesn't mean there's not necessarily a connection. I do think the fact that these are both high education institutions and there are potential connections there. We have the vehicle located that had to go through Massachusetts to get to New Hampshire. It's starting to look pretty interesting. But remember, there's other clues they're going to look at. The ballistics, right, from the victims in this case would also show connectivity. If they've got DNA and fingerprints from the shell casings, they would likely have those at the other crime scene as well. So they would be able to tie these together pretty quickly to determine if there's actually a true connection.
Yeah. John, investigators believe that Brown University, the gunman at Brown, rented a car, and the rented vehicle is the same make and model of the car that was identified in connection with the MIT shooting. So that obviously is the broad connection there. But is it strange to you that, you had a press conference scheduled for 4 o'clock with this police department. 3 hours later, the cameras are still waiting for somebody to come out and say anything. What do you think is happening right now that they're not giving us any indication, and we're still all just waiting for a 20-minute warning of when this news conference might begin?
Well, I think a normal, like for instance, when the individual blew his vehicle up in Las Vegas on January 1st, those press conferences, if they were delayed because they were so accurate, so well done, I would think, well, they're probably getting more information in. In this case, I don't know. It could be that they're getting more information in, that they're trying to clarify things before they release a name. But I don't know with this hodgepodge of people that come up there every few days and give a random press conference. I'm not exactly sure. My only hope is that, that they're good police officers behind the scenes doing this groundwork, and that may be the reason why it's taking a while.
Ren, has the FBI had any, have they been on this case at all? Have they been asked to join? Have they had any influence on this investigation in either of these?
Yeah, my understanding is they were brought in almost immediately, right? We had a mass shooting. We had 11 people shot on Brown University, right? And let me also remind, this is important. I was formerly in the FBI in the Boston division. In the Boston bombing case, the name was leaked, and that actually prompted a series of violent events. And so I think if they do have the name, which obviously they do if they've got a warrant, they're holding back on that because the minute they put that name out, that person knows they're wanted. And that's when it becomes the most dangerous part of the investigation, was a person is actually identified and they're on the run. And so I think they may be doing this for safety purposes as well.
And John, one final question. The fact that the FBI has been a part of this investigation, I guess, why haven't we heard, and why haven't they been a part? They've been a part of these news conferences. Why are these news conferences have looked so bad these last few days? The FBI could have done a hell of a lot better job at that.
Perhaps that's why the FBI wasn't involved in these. They didn't want to put their name to that. But I don't know. It could be because the lead of the investigation at that point in time was the Providence and the Brown University police. But I will say that now that it's gone to other states, now the FBI will take a bigger overall role in this investigation. It was a mass shooting, but if they couldn't identify whether or not it was terrorism, the FBI would take a backseat role, and Ren can check me on this. But once they determine it's terrorism or it's gone over state lines, and there's a couple other variables there, then the FBI will take an even bigger role in this.
Okay. All right. Gentlemen, stand by for us. If something changes, we might have to jump back to you at some point in the show. Jonathan Gilliam, Ren McEachern, good to see you both from the FBI. Thank you so much, guys. And just to summarize what we've been through here this last few minutes, we have the news conference we're waiting. That's 3 hours and 8 minutes delayed at this point. In Providence, you had this mass shooting Saturday. Then you had an MIT professor, a very prominent MIT professor, killed Monday night. And now there are indications that these two crimes may have been committed by the same man. Being hunted right now. A car has been found linking those crimes together in the state of New Hampshire, and he's being hunted as we speak. That could change here during the show, so stay with us. In the meantime, we're going to get back to politics. Trump has had enough listening to Democrats campaign on the cost of living crisis that they created. We're going to talk about that next.
Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country.
Before Charlie Kirk died, he issued a stark warning of terrifying dangers ahead in a new book, Pagan Threat, authored by Pastor Lucas Miles. Charlie said Pagan Threat could save America and that you must read it. Get Pagan Threat free with Newsmax's special offer. Plus, get Dick Morse's new book, The Real Charlie Kirk. 2 great books with our free offer today.
the Blue Compass RV annual Blue Tag clearance. Save over 40% on select new RVs during our largest sale of the year. Plus, every RV comes with a 1-year VIP membership to RV Complete, a $5,000 value. Visit us online or in store today.
Doctors' Preferred Liver Defense is doctor developed to support your natural detox function with clinically validated, triple tested key ingredients to energize and renew your liver. Find Liver Defense in the supplement aisle at Walmart. Doctors Preferred. Better science, better results.
Michael is our youngest.
At 1, we found out he was profoundly deaf.
Then told he's also going to go blind.
He has Usher syndrome, a rare genetic condition
causing him to lose his vision and hearing.
There's no treatment. Most doctors have never even heard of it.
Every day feels like a race against time.
And finding a treatment would change everything.
Welcome back. Trump's White House address last night addressing a messaging problem at the White House. The current administration is not at all responsible for the cost of living disaster that we are all living through together in this country. Joe Biden and Democrats, of course, printed trillions of dollars in the last administration and juiced up the swamp to the absolute max. Washington, D.C., fat and happy, and like always, the rest of us paid the price with the soaring inflation that we now must live in for the next several years. That cost Democrats the White House last year. That's a big reason why Trump won. But where this administration went wrong was on the messaging these past several months, bragging about Trump's amazing economy while Americans were still reeling under the effects of that very, very, very high inflation, which of course takes several years to wash out through wage growth. Inflation, just because it corrects and goes down to 2.5% or 3%, doesn't mean that we're still not paying a lot more. Inflation doesn't go down, it just stops going up so quickly, right? That messaging error left an opening for Democrats to change the narrative on people that don't understand economics, which is most people that vote, and start blaming Trump for the high cost of living, which is flatly ridiculous. But millions of voters are dumb enough to believe it, of course. Quinnipiac with a poll showing Republicans are only plus 5 points on the economy. If Americans understood the economy, it would be 100-0 on this issue. But as you know, they largely don't. Trump last night fought back against this ridiculousness, and he did it so quite loudly. Take a listen.
11 months ago, I inherited a mess, and I'm fixing it. When I took office, inflation was the worst in 48 years, and some would say in the history of our country, which caused prices to be higher than ever before, making life unaffordable for millions and millions of Americans. This happened during a Democrat administration, and it's when we first began hearing the word affordability.
That's exactly right. That's a message that needs to be repeated 1,000 times. They should have been saying that a lot all along. Democrats destroyed your quality of life and your cost of living. They're fixing it, but it's going to take a while. Think of how long it took. The last time we had explosive inflation like this was the 1980s. It took years and years and years to get people back to good. We're already seeing the solution working, though. The inflation rate under 3%. Wages growing closer to 4%, as you can see there in that graphic. So you got wage growth higher than the inflation rate. That's the process it's going to take to get us back to feeling like we're 2019 rich again. Remember how it felt before all the COVID inflation and before the Democrats spent all that money? Remember how cheap everything felt? It wasn't cheap, but it was better than this. Other good news to report, inflation, which shocked everybody this morning. The inflation number coming in nearly a half point lighter than expected. Here was CNBC.
The CPI, maybe coming in a little bit better than expected. 2.7%, a little light here. I'm just reading the headlines here. Year over year, 2.7. Ex-food and energy core, 2.6. So 0.4 off. That is a very good number here.
All right, Steve Moore, former Trump economic advisor, joins us now to talk about all this. Steve, how do you take all this? And are Democrats doing a great job at duping the American people into shifting the blame for all this onto the president?
Hi, Rob. Good to be with you. I liked what you said. I think it's 100% accurate. And I'll just give you one way of thinking about what you just said. So let's say the price of beef is, let's say, $1 more than you used to pay, say, for a hamburger. 88.5 cents of that increase is due to Biden, and like 11 cents of it is due to Donald Trump. And so we're seeing really that this was all almost all due to Biden's policies. The inflation number that came out today was really good.
Yeah.
And by the way, if you look at just the last couple of months, if we keep that pace up, we'll be less than 2% inflation, which is the Fed's target. So the economy is very much improving. The job market is improving.
Yeah.
I think we're really set up, as Trump said last night, for a big, big boom in 2026, especially because most middle-income Americans, Rob, have not seen the tax cut yet. The tax cut will be reflected in the pay stubs that you start receiving in January.
Understood. We wanted to be surprised. Trish Regan is also joining us now. Trish, good to see you. She just
Good to see
popped
you
up
guys.
in the middle. I was like, oh, hi, Trish. What did you make of last night's speech and how they're trying to correct this ridiculous narrative that's being created by Democrats on this problem?
Well, look, I was so excited about the inflation report. I just couldn't stay away. I had to join you and Steve here tonight, Rob. Look, last night was terrific. I was watching it and I'm like, we're back, because I think that the record had to be effectively corrected. For one thing, I mean, don't forget, we're still dealing with the aftermath of 9+% inflation. Do not forget that was a couple years into Biden's watch, okay? So that was entirely his game. And even when we were coming down, we were still up like 6%, 7%, 5%. It was like, oh. And you think about the cumulative effect of that, right? We are still feeling that. And I think everyday Americans, they look nostalgically back to the Trump years and they thought, boom, presto, he's back in office. That's what's going to happen. Well, I'm sorry. We had 4 years of pain and we're still feeling it. So I am delighted. I am thrilled with this new print on inflation. I think we get a lot of things that are going really, really well right now. And, when people get a little bit more money in their pockets, thanks to no tax on tips and some other tax cut incentives, you're going to set yourself up for a really strong 2026.
Yeah, hopefully right.
So Rob, if I could just add something to that.
Real quick,
Steve, I was just looking at the numbers on inflation and all the various goods and services. One of the things that's up the most in cost is healthcare. Gee, I wonder why that is. Yeah. Oh, maybe it's because we passed Obamacare, which was a fraud, and is causing people to pay more and more insurance costs and hospital costs. So thanks a lot, Barack.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I got to leave it there. Trish, Steve Moore, good to see you guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
NASA has a new leader, Jared Isaacman. Man that comes from the private sector, a successful businessman and the first civilian to ever do a spacewalk. Part of his list of attributes. He hopes to lead NASA toward a brighter future after a pretty rough stretch. Isaacman, a close friend to Elon Musk, wants to bring astronauts back to the moon and establish an enduring presence there. He's also very interested in Mars as well. And the NASA administrator, Jared Isaacman, joins us tonight now from the White House. Jared, good to have you on the show. I want to start with what are your plans exactly to revive our government's struggling space agency?
Well, thanks for having me on. And I got to tell you, I mean, for day one on the job, just getting sworn in, I go right to the Oval Office where the president signs a national space policy. So priorities are super clear. We're gonna return to the moon. We've got a mission coming up in just a matter of months. We're going to establish infrastructure on the moon. We're going to build a moon base, and we're going to do all the other things like investing in nuclear propulsion, deep space exploration, and science. So these are the reasons why the best and brightest come and work for NASA. I have no doubt everybody's going to get really reinvigorated in the mission. We're going to get the job done.
Nuclear propulsion. Tell us what that is. That about just speeding up our jets so they can go faster through space? What is that?
Well, this is, I mean, first of all, the president is doing a fantastic job of making nuclear great in space again. So we've actually had a chance to speak about this several times. It's incorporated in his national space policy. I mean, simple reality is the farther you get away from our sun, the less we can rely upon it. So when we go to the far side of the moon or we send missions to Mars where we're going to need to be able to manufacture propellant for our spaceships in order to send them back home, that's all going to rely on nuclear. So nuclear surface power applications, nuclear propulsion applications, it's how we take that next giant leap. Yeah. And the president is already on top of it.
You got a country that's 36, 37 trillion in debt. What do you say to people that say, why are we messing around with the moon and Mars? Like, why is that a priority? Tell us why that's so important.
Well, that's a great question. First of all, I think the best way to address it is we're very thankful for all of the resources that are being contributed, from a number of great successful entrepreneurs. During the 1960s, when we achieved our lunar ambition, sent Americans to the moon and brought them safely home, that was 4.5% of the discretionary budget. NASA, gets a fraction of that today, and it's in part benefiting from the contributions of the Elon Musks of the world, the Jeff Bezos, and I can probably rattle off about 10 other companies where private capital is going in to create capabilities for the good of all humankind. Now, all that said, I mean, it's always a good argument of why are we doing this in space when there are real problems here at home, and the simple answer is we don't hit the pause button on progress. We still invest in building a brighter future that we want our children to grow up in, while also trying to solve for some of the real problems and hardships we have here on Earth.
Yeah.
And simply put, when we focus on the ultimate high ground of space and try and unlock the secrets of the universe, it makes the planet better and inspires our kids to do even more.
And the moon there's something with the moon in China, and everybody wants to take control of that and that's part of the space race, right? I mean, explain the importance of that.
Well, I mean, space is the ultimate high ground, right? And that has mattered since the beginning of humankind. Right now, America has had immense leadership in the high ground of space, from peaceful exploration towards our satellite constellations. But simply put, that high ground is moving farther out there, and we do have a great competitor. They have the will, the means, the resources to send their astronauts to the lunar surface.
Yep.
They intend to build infrastructure there. They intend to put nuclear power there. It's vitally important for scientific, economic, and national security reasons for the United States to get there first, establish that presence, and then we'll take the next giant leap and look towards Mars and beyond.
Can I ask a conspiratorial question of you? There's a lot of speculation. It's very difficult to get to the moon today. A lot of people wonder how we did it 50 years ago so cleanly. Do you think we went?
Oh, there's no question that we went to the moon. I mean, I've seen all the arguments against it, including the deadly rays of the Van Allen belt. I can tell you I went to space just more than a year ago. It was the farthest any human's gone since the last time we walked on the moon. My crewmates and myself did go into the Van Allen belt. We're still alive and healthy to talk about it. The real issue is we just haven't been back in a really long time. But under President Trump's leadership, we're about to solve that problem. American astronauts will return to the lunar environment on Artemis 2 in the very near future.
And one last thing to you, 3I Atlas. I'm a freak for, I think there's so much out there that we don't know about. This huge interstellar object is going to pass its closest range tomorrow. It'll be at its closest point to Earth. They say you might be able to see it if you get your telescope out. Some have speculated this could be an alien ship. It's changed course a number of times. What do you think 3I Atlas is, as the head of NASA?
Well, I'll tell you what, as the head of NASA, I'm really excited that people are getting charged up on talking about space. I mean, and who doesn't? When you look up at the night sky and you look at the stars, I mean, this is what we're supposed to be doing at NASA, is going out and unlocking the secrets of the universe. I think it's a comet, but we've got some of the best and brightest at NASA that's going to study it. You're not going to be the only one outside looking at it with their telescope, but that's what it's all about. I mean, we're orbiting around one star, a star of many within our galaxy, and there's 2 trillion other galaxies out there. This is what's great about what I think is the most exciting adventure in human history.
I know. I'd love to think that we could find the proof of something else before I'm off this planet, but we'll have to just wait and see. All right, Jared, if you ever want to geek out about space and stuff, you're always welcome back on this show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Happy holidays.
All right, Australia's left-wing leader exclaims, "Diversity is our strength," after 2 Islamists murder 16 on his most famous beach. We've got that next with Sebastian Gorka.
Total Beats Ultimate Heart Health is the newest innovation from America's best-selling Beats brand. Ultimate Heart Health contains a key ingredient clinically shown to deliver 2 times better blood pressure support, plus CoQ10 for even better heart health. Find Total Beats Ultimate Heart Health at Walmart today.
I lost 110 pounds. You couldn't tell at all because of my excess skin. Sono Bello changed that in 1 visit.
Introducing the new Lift EX, the just 1 visit, total body transformation everyone is talking about.
I am super happy with my results.
I decided to give Sono Bello a try. Look at me, I have a silhouette. You can see my waist.
Lift EX is Sono Bello's breakthrough 360-degree body lift alternative. Our body contouring experts sculpt, tighten, and lift your stomach, waist, thighs, and backside, all in just one visit with less downtime.
Sono Bello targeted the areas diet exercise could not do. I found me again.
Sono Bello has over 50,000 five-star reviews, and LiftDX is exclusively available at Sono Bello, America's #1 cosmetic surgery specialist. Book your free, personalized consultation today. Easy monthly plans make your best body more affordable than ever.
This year is my year thanks to Sono Bello.
Call Sono Bello for your free consultation today.
You know the holidays are meant to be about family, laughter, and taking things slow. But when you're in pain, it's hard to enjoy any of it. I know because my back has made life difficult. But that's why I love the Signal Relief Patch. It's helped me enjoy the holidays again. Join the thousands who have experienced relief and get 30% off your Signal Relief Patch today. I've given this patch as a gift to friends, family, and even strangers I've seen in pain.
Signal Relief is truly giving me my happiness back.
The Signal Relief Patch puts pain on the back burner.
The Signal Relief Patch has been life-changing.
This is too good to be true. It's too easy.
In a recent study, over 85% of people felt relief, and it comes with a money-back guarantee. This patch was a game changer for me, and it can be for you too. Trust me, the patch works.
Give the Omaha Steaks Deluxe gift package. That includes bacon-wrapped filet mignon, burgers, franks, sides, and desserts for just $99.99. And it ships free. This offer won't last. Visit omahasteaks.com/gift today.
When Betty and George turned 50, they figured out that switching 2 unlimited lines from big wireless to consumer cellular could save people up to $600 a year. So they made the switch and started splurging on date night. And it became their favorite night. No, don't you dare. It's an acquired taste. If you're over 50, get 2 unlimited lines for $30 each. And right now, get your second month free. Call Consumer Cellular.
My heart has experienced life-changing wins, losses, and countless miles. To keep living at my speed, I trust Cunol CoQ10. CoQ10 is the #1 cardiologist-recommended supplement for heart health. Cunol, the brand I trust.
When you come to Australia, you are here to support our society, which is diverse, but that diversity is a strength.
All right, so that's Australia's left-wing leader, Prime Minister Albanese, right there, claiming diversity is a strength, and it's all that Australians want. After 2 Islamists, this is his response after 2 Islamists led a massacre on Bondi Beach, killing 16 people on Sunday. A jihadi father and son duo from Pakistan and Lebanon firing rifles into a massive crowd celebrating Hanukkah. Albanese and other white guilt liberals inviting hundreds of thousands of Muslims into Australia, despite the very obvious risk of this. It is much easier to let your people be slaughtered than to be called a bigot as the leader of a country. And so this is why they behave the way that they do. Just 4 days after the Bondi Beach terror attack, Australian police got intel of 5 more Muslims in their country plotting another very violent attack on innocent people. And this video shows those 5 being taken into custody after Australian police officers rammed their vehicle to apprehend them. You can see them up against the wall on the right side in that video. The solution, according to Albanese and other liberals in Australia, are stronger gun laws, despite Australia already having some of the strongest in the world, and of course, less free speech.
I'm announcing a significant number of additional actions. Agreed changes will include: 1, aggravated hate speech offence. Secondly, increased penalties for hate speech. Listing organisations whose leaders engage in hate speech.
Yeah. Banning hate speech, that will prevent Islamists from murdering people on a beach, right? Sebastian Gorka is the Senior Director for Counterterrorism at the White House and joins us now. Your reaction to the leadership in Australia after what we saw on Sunday?
Well, Rob, it's not about hate speech. It's not about guns. It's about jihadis. Every nation in this administration, the Trump administration, we believe in representative government, and nations get to choose their own leaders. But I will say this. On that issue, that clip you played from the Prime Minister, no. Diversity is not Australia's strength. It's not any nation's strength, because diversity could include rapists, murderers, could include drug cartels, human traffickers, and jihadis. No, diversity is never a strength. When it comes to a nation's safety, it is solidarity and uniformity with regards to the respect of law and order, and you don't get to kill Jews on a Hanukkah celebration just because you're part of a diverse ethnic community. So no, we do not believe in diversity if it includes jihadis. It's just common sense, Rob.
You wonder if is the West ever going to wake up and realize this? I mean, what we saw with Paris this week and the French deciding to cancel their biggest and most grand celebration of the year every year, which is the million people that go to the Champs-Élysées for the fireworks and to celebrate the New Year. They're just canceling that now because they're so certain that somebody's going to blow people up. And that's the reality that they've created for their citizens. At what point is there a revolution against this method of forced immigration into a country?
Look, it's very simple. Everyone, whether you're an American taxpayer, whether you're a foreign citizen, a leader of a friendly nation, partner, an ally, you've got to read the document the president released a scant week and a half ago, the National Security Strategy. We're very explicit in that document. The president is candid. He's frank. We have ties to various parts of the world. The English-speaking community, which includes Australia, our friends in Europe. The president's family hails from Europe as well. But at the end of the day, if you take a snapshot of these countries and these communities, they are in civilizational decline. Whether it's allowing illegal immigrants into your country, whether it's masking up and hiding massive rape gangs across the UK for more than a decade, or whether it's putting people in prison for Facebook posts because they held a shotgun at a clay pigeon shoot in America when they were in vacation. It's lunacy. It's absolute suicidal. So at the end of the day, we wish these nations to thrive, to prosper, who are in our own civilization, but they have to take their national sovereignty seriously.
Yeah. I want to get to this before I let you go. Maduro, Trump announcing this blockade on any oil ships going in or out of the country. Maduro has announced that he's going to start escorting his own oil ships with their own navy. That feels like something that something could go bad there if you've got two sides trying to do the same thing, both militaries, working on something. What could happen there? How ugly could that get? And how long can Maduro last when oil is their entire economy if this blockade holds?
It could get very, very, very ugly, but for only one side of the equation. The idea that Venezuela, the dictator, the tin pot dictator of that totally failed nation, could stand up against the might of the most powerful nation in the world when we are reinstituting the Monroe Doctrine. We will not permit you to smuggle oil, to go against sanctions, to be hand in glove with terrorists, with cartels, with other inimical nations like Iran. So if I were a betting man, I don't think I'd put my money on Maduro or Venezuela.
Any indication how long he can last if he's not getting oil in or out? I mean, that's their whole economy.
They're on the edge of collapse economically, so let me just not give away any secrets live on air, but let's just say not very long, Rob.
Okay. Sebastian Gorka, good to see you, sir. Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Merry Christmas. Robert F. Kennedy bans child gender surgeries after the House of Representatives votes to ban transgender sex transitions for kids as well. That's coming up.
Sex-rejecting procedures are neither safe nor effective treatment for children with gender dysphoria.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work. Try to see a doctor this week or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Order online and save $45. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code NEWS. That's urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code NEWS.
You can't go out there. You'll never make it.
But I reckon I got to. I'm 45. It's time to screen for colon cancer.
Will I ever see you again?
I love you. Also, I'm just going to porch.
I knew that. It's true. The Cologuard test comes to you.
Just ask your provider or request online.
That way you can screen for colon cancer on your terms. It's effective and non-invasive.
False positive and negative results may occur. It is not for those at high risk. Skip the drama. Ask your provider or request Cologuard online.
Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin, President and CEO of Swiss America. Most investors believe their IRA, 401k, and bank accounts are reliable and safe. But what if our economy becomes so dire that you're restricted from accessing your own money? The fact is that should your bank be in trouble for holding bad loans, the burden could fall on you to help bail them out. Even more concerning is that U.S. financial regulations allow banks to impose withdrawal limits on your hard-earned savings. But there's something you can do about it. Our team at Swiss America has a report called The Secret War on Cash. Learn how to protect yourself with assets that can remain outside the control of banks and other financial institutions. For over 40 years, Swiss America has been one of the most trusted metal firms in the country. So don't wait. Call or text the number on your screen today for financial peace of mind in these uncertain times.
For pain in multiple spots like here, here, or here, Salonpas patches stick firmly and remove comfortably once your pain is gone. Salonpas. It's good medicine.
Doctors across the country now provide needless and irreversible sex-rejecting procedures that violate their sacred Hippocratic oath by endangering the very lives that they are sworn to safeguard. This is not medicine, it is malpractice.
All right, that's our health secretary right there, Robert Kennedy Jr., starting the process of ending child gender-changing surgeries in this country, which is mutilation. A declaration to ban hospitals from performing these sex change operations on kids after the GOP-led House passed a bill doing exactly the same, criminalizing trans-affirming care on minors, including surgeries, puberty blockers, and hormone therapy. Providers caught doing this would face up to 10 years in prison if it were to pass the Senate. It passed the House at 216 to 211. All but 3 Democrats voted against a bill to prevent these gender surgeries on children. Take a listen to this.
The science is clear. Evidence-based, medically necessary care for transgender youth is safe, it's effective, it's supported by every major medical association in the United States.
Let's build a future where our children, including our transgender little ones, are seen, are loved, and valued.
Access to transgender-related health care is critical, medically necessary, and often life-saving.
All delusional liberal women, and the science is not clear at all, by the way. It's very murky, and this is child mutilation that 211 Democrats are supporting. Ed Henry, Rick Leventhal join us now. Gentlemen, good to have you both here. Let's start, Rick. Your reaction to that vote, it's just so absurd the way that they view this issue.
Well, to say that it's medically necessary is delusional. And what's happening now is the administration trying to right the wrongs of the past few years. I mean, I just break it down to this, Rob. Anyone who has children or can remember when they were 12 or 13 years old knows that kids that age in 5th or 6th or 7th grade are not in any position to make decisions about their future. They don't know what they want. They don't understand their bodies yet, and they're not old enough to make these kinds of life-altering, life-changing decisions. It comes down to that. So stop letting kids decide their future.
Right. And Ed, how many young people have we talked to that went through these surgeries and found themselves to be suicidal afterwards because they've now destroyed the body that they were born with, and there's really no coming back from that?
Yeah, and that's sickening, the level of suicide, the fact that these kids, as Rick laid out perfectly, don't understand their own bodies. Why would they? They're still learning. They're still young. And these radical Democrat politicians are jamming all this, or at least trying to jam it down parents' throats. The bottom line is, during COVID, the left lectured us about follow the science, follow the science. And as you said at the top, the science we know is they're dead wrong. And this is why I think, as this debate is playing out, it's fascinating. There's a new poll saying that only about 18% of the public approves of Democrats. It's because of radical policies like this.
Yeah, trust the science. They find one idiot scientist, and then they say the science is clear. I mean, they can say anything they want. It's all nonsense. Rick, the Kayla Hamilton Act also passing the House last night, banning illegal gang members who enter our country as unaccompanied minors from being released into the communities, prohibits unaccompanied minors from going to sponsors who are also undocumented illegals. This is how you prevent child trafficking in this country. This is the bill that would do it. And most Democrats, 201, I believe, voted against that.
Well, I mean, listen, again, trying to right wrongs of the previous administration. Right. Think about all those young people who were allowed in without their parents, and now you're going to stick them with people they don't know who might have ulterior motives, awful motives. And it's a situation that needs to be rectified. It's unfortunate. It's awful. I feel terrible for these kids. But, something has to be done about it, Rob. Because,
they lost 300,000 kids in the last administration. This administration claims to have saved 60 or 70,000 kids. And Democrats in Congress are just oblivious to all of this. I want to laugh with you guys before I let you go. We got 30 seconds left. The addition to the Presidential Walk of Fame, the plaques underneath each president's photo with the commentary under Joe Biden. This was definitely written by Trump. Sleepy Joe Biden was by far the worst president in American history. Under Obama, he wrote, one of the most divisive political figures in American history. He passed the highly ineffective Unaffordable Care Act. Ed, they can't wait to get back in there and rip this stuff down, but it's funny, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are good. I think even better than that is under the presidency of Bill Clinton. Oh, at the end, his wife lost to Donald J. Trump in 2016. Had to get that in there, and I love it.
Oh, God. These are the moments. Rick and Ed, good to see you guys.
This is what you get to do when you're president. You get to do this kind of thing when you're president.
He's having fun in there. Good to see you guys. Thanks so much. All right.
Good to see you, too.
All right, we have seen a sharp decline in basic civic education in this country. You know we have. Today we hit the streets to see if New Yorkers can name more Supreme Court justices than Kardashians. Check it out.
Kendall, Kylie, Kim, Chloe, and Courtney. Chris and Caitlin, too.
Supreme Court justices now. List them.
Don't know any.
Oh, we got Chloe, we got Kim, we got Rob.
Kim, Chloe, Courtney, Chris,
Kylie,
I know
Rob.
Yeah. Oh, Rob.
Courtney, Chloe, Kim, Kendall, Kylie, Rob, Chris.
OJ count? OJ lawyer. OJ's lawyer, Kardashian.
Chloe, Kendall, Kylie,
Kim, Chloe, Courtney. Rob.
Kim, Chloe, Courtney, Chris.
All of them. Caitlin, Kendall, Caitlin. Yeah.
Oh. Is Chloe or is Courtney's son, Mason? I don't even like the Kardashians, so put that on the record.
Supreme Court justices of the United States of America.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. I should know this because I interned in D.C.
I don't know, bro.
If you name something give me something about basketball.
This is where I tap out. She's a lawyer, so
We got Clarence Thomas. Yes. We got the Kennedy's not anymore. We got Sotomayor. We got Ketanji Jackson Brown. Ketanji Brown. Clarence Thomas.
the guy that starts with a C. I can't believe you don't know this.
I'm looking at his face. I don't know his name. He got accused of date rape. Very stereotypical white. Brett Kavanaugh. Yeah, she got me. Yeah.
I don't know. You can skip that. I just failed it.
3 branches of government. Oh, we got your judicial, legislative, and executive branch.
Yeah. Judicial, executive, legislative.
I got one.
Judicial, executive, legislative.
Who is this? What they look like? Oh, that's I want to say this name. Is it who just passed? Is that's not Oh, that's Pete Buttigieg, the governor of Pennsylvania. Got me, Buttigieg. Yeah.
And if you thought that was bad, honestly, those are probably some of the smarter people that you're going to find walking down the street. They actually did pretty good. All right, a hilarious Epstein claim by Kamala coming up next.
There should be an absolute separation between what we wanted as an administration and what the Department of Justice did.
DROP is finally here. DROP delivers the weight loss benefits of GLP-1 injections in easy-to-use oral drops. No needles.
That's right. The 2 big drawbacks with weight loss injections are high costs and weekly injections. Drop is flavorless and odorless, so you can just add it to water or your favorite beverage. Drop offers other advantages over injections too. With Drop, you can personalize your dosage based on your weight loss goals.
And because you add DROP to any liquid, there's no concern about injection site infections, bruising, or dosage confusion.
Drop is the easier, safer, cost-effective alternative to help you achieve your weight loss goals without the needles.
Can't find it anywhere? The Wellness Company has it. No consultation needed. Simply order online and use promo code SLIM to save $100. Visit dropthepounds.com/slim. That's promo code SLIM at dropthepounds.com/slim.
Get the life back. Okay, we're good. He's breathing. Okay.
When I saw that Ethan was not breathing, I determined that I needed to use something to remove the obstruction from his airway.
It's very important for every household to have a life vest.
Everyone should have one in their home. Anything can happen at any moment.
I want my friends and family and people that I serve to know that we have this device to potentially save lives.
Protect your family. Go to lifevac.net. Go to lifevac.net or call 877-543-3822.
It's the Blue Compass RV annual Blue Tag clearance. Save over 40% on select new RVs during our largest sale of the year. Plus, every RV comes with a 1-year VIP membership to RV Complete, a $5,000 value. Visit us online or in store today.
So I interviewed this guy a couple of months ago on my podcast. His name is Clint Romeshay, and he was awarded the Medal of Honor for his actions in Afghanistan. His story is unbelievable. His book, Red Platoon, amazing. Now, I met Clint through my friends over at Pure Talk. Yeah, this is a commercial for Pure Talk, but relax, it'll be over in seconds, and you might even like it. As you can see, I switched to Pure Talk not long ago from Verizon, partly because I was sick of Verizon, and partly because I wanted to be on the nation's most dependable 5G network and save a whole bunch of money, but mostly because of Clint. I wanted to be in business with a wireless company who actually stands for something. And I love what Pure Talk is doing for our vets. I love the way they support America's Warrior Partnership. So to sum up, get to know Clint Romeshay on my podcast. Check out his terrific book, Red Platoon, and then switch to a wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
Vehicle breakdowns are costly, but with Endurance, you could never pay out of pocket for a costly repair again.
They covered a $14,000 engine replacement.
Call right now to get $300 off any plan. Call now.
Time now for news from the left. The DOJ is set to release the Epstein files tomorrow in full. The full Epstein files ordered to be released, making it a hot topic this week in the news. Democrats love hammering this subject and pretending they didn't completely ignore the demands for transparency on this for the entire 4 years that Biden was in the White House. Take a listen to Kamala when hit with a question about why she's making so much noise about all this after concealing these files as vice president.
I will tell you, we, perhaps to our damage, but we strongly and rightly believed that there should be an absolute separation between what we wanted as an administration and what the Department of Justice did. The Justice Department would make its decisions independent of any political or personal vendetta or concern that we may have. And that's the way it worked.
Yeah, they were so good that they wouldn't even call for the release of the Epstein files. And because Jimmy Kimmel is such a fraud, he just sat there and listened to that and lapped it up. And finally, Rachel Maddow somehow getting an honoree for the 2025 Walter Cronkite Awards for Excellence in Political Journalism. Don't ask me how. Shaming the Trump administration for not continuing the ridiculous tradition of the United States paying to save the entire world all on its own. Here she is talking about cuts to AIDS funding in Africa.
We were within sight of ending AIDS forever in our lifetimes, within a decade. And Marco Rubio and Donald Trump decided they didn't understand it, or it seemed too gay or too black or too poor to them. And they just cut it all off and blew up 30 years of work.
Yeah. You know what they cut? About billions of dollars that was paying for all this. And why does nobody ask why China, Europe, and everyone else, why don't they help in funding AIDS progress in Africa? Nobody ever shames them for that. Nobody ever talks about it. Fake news. All right, it is now the Trump Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. Rick Grenell runs the place. He's going to talk about the tremendous improvements that earned this big name change today. That's next.
Closed captioning is brought to you by MagnaLife Pain Relieving Foot Cream to target neuropathy symptoms.
The stabbing, burning pain in your feet is real. Here's what real customers have to say about MagnaLife Pain Relieving Foot Cream, the only thing that works for my diabetic neuropathy.
Available in foot care and diabetic aisles. It's the holiday season on Solitaire Grand Harvest. And now you have a chance to win a premium baking kit. Enjoy festive solitaire adventures with fun challenges. Step into Sonny's kitchen. He's already cooking up a feast and looking for a co-chef. Tastes like a win to me. Join the millions already enjoying exciting levels and mini games. Download Solitaire Grand Harvest for free now and get a chance to win a holiday baking kit. New winner every week.
Israel, the birthplace of our faiths for Christians and Jews. That Christmas morning, wise men brought gifts from outside the Holy Land. But in this year of war, this Holy Land and her people are living in fear, and many of the elderly are alone and suffering. Like the wise men or wise women, would you open your heart and give a special holiday food box to someone here in Israel this Christmas, Hanukkah season?
Right now, the hardships in Israel are felt by everyone. People like Hannah, who can't buy food. That is where the fellowship comes in. That's where the fellowship is called. Baruch Hashem. To feed the hungry.
Happy Hanukkah.
Through the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, your special holiday gift of just $25 can answer their prayers this Hanukkah and Christmas season.
It's people like Chaya that you can touch.
Please call, scan, or go online now to help rush emergency food and healing to elderly Jews and their Christian neighbors struggling to rebuild their lives from the war.
You are a Christian. Those words of Isaiah, that the Spirit of the Lord is upon you. There we go. You're bringing hope. You're bringing tomorrow on the table to her and to so many others. What will happen? Amen. When tens of millions of Christians and millions of Jews together, we make this holy day season holy indeed.
Patriots. America was built by people who believed in something greater than themselves, something worth protecting. Today, one of America's top growing industries is political campaigns, a multi-billion-dollar movement powered by tech, data, and the American people. Meet FullPack, a tech platform trusted by thousands of campaigns nationwide to connect directly with voters. FullPack is expected to begin trading on NASDAQ soon, under the ticker GOTV for Get Out the Vote. But before we begin trading, we're offering a limited number of shares to patriots like you for $5 each, providing your portfolio exposure to this fast-growing market. Capitalism helped build America into the shining beacon on the hill. Now you can own a stake in the heartbeat of America. Visit gotv.com/invest or call 877730-GOTV to learn more.
And finally today, the board of the Kennedy Center voted to change the name of our National Cultural Center. The federally run Washington, D.C. performing arts venue will now be called the Donald J. Trump and John F. Kennedy Memorial Center for the Performing Arts. Rick Grenell is Trump's envoy for special missions and the president of the now dubbed Trump Kennedy Center, and he joins us now. Rick, good to see you, and I can feel the lives in that city melting down over this name change. I can't even imagine how they're going to talk about it tonight at dinner. But in all honesty, for a second, this administration, and with you running the project on the ground, have made tremendous improvements to this center. Some say that you saved the Kennedy Center, and that's why it justifies its name change. Talk about that.
Look, I believe that arts institutions like the newly named Trump Kennedy Center should be supported by bipartisan support. We should have Democrats, Republicans, independents, people who aren't political supporting the arts. And traditionally, we haven't had a lot of Republican support for places like the newly named Trump Kennedy Center. But President Trump absolutely came in, saw the need. We took him on a tour early on of the place, and the center was really in terrible disrepair. The roof was leaking. We didn't have fountains that worked. We had elevators that didn't work. The place was crumbling. When you drove underneath it in Washington, D.C., the roof, concrete roof, was falling on cars. We had lawsuits. It was deferred maintenance that I believe is almost criminal, to just ignore the place for decades. All the people who are complaining today about the name change are the ones who actually didn't do anything for decades. When I arrived after President Trump took over, we were paying the staff with debt reserves. So financially and physically, the place was in disrepair. President Trump came in, and I think today the board recognized that it needed to be bipartisan, and it's got a new name. It's the Trump Kennedy Center, and I think it should be celebrated by everybody. Yeah, and this is not hyperbole from you either. I heard. I think it was Gene Simmons on the red carpet for the Kennedy Center Honor said that he was amazed by how much better it was. He indicated that the place was a dump. This is somebody that would know. He's an American rock and roller for the last 40 years. So the changes were needed. Is the Kennedy Center now a must visit when American tourists come into the Capitol to see it? I think so. I mean, financially, we're doing way better. We're raising money like never before. The programming has changed. Last night, we had an amazing celebration of the birth of Christ, celebrating a traditional way about Christmas. And I think everybody should check out the website, come visit. You'll see that it's big common sense programming, and you're going to love the new Trump Kennedy Center. It's physically and financially in way better shape. I love that. Great job, Rick. We appreciate you coming on and telling us the update, and what a great story. Good to see you. Thanks, Rob. Thanks so much. All right, Finnerty's up next, and we'll see you back here tomorrow night.